Hello everyone. Basically, I'm going to be doing just like a life update because in my Snapchat Q&A, somebody asked where am I now? So I graduated last July 2015. And I studied human nutrition undergraduate. And to be honest, when I graduated, I didn't want to look for a job, basically. I was really tired. I was just tired and I wanted to rest and relax my brain. So I started looking for jobs. When did I start looking for jobs? So I had like 3 weeks rest. End of July, August time, I started looking for jobs. Now I knew where I wanted to go after my degree anyway, but I ended up working in retail in September in my hometown. That's a whole nother story. I don't like retail, okay? Anyway, but I knew that was going to be short term. So while I was working there, I was actually looking for dietetic assistant jobs. Just to pause a second, so dietetic assistant, so it's basically the assistant for dietitians, okay? And they're different to nutritionists. So technically I'm a nutritionist, but I want to become a dietitian. I want to work within the NHS. So you have to register with HCPC, have registration. No one can just call themselves dietitians, whereas basically anyone can call themselves nutritionists. It's regulated by law, the title. And you work in a hospital, and dietitians mainly work with sick people and healthy people too, whereas nutritionists tend to work with healthy people and focus more on prevention. That's like a kind of really watered down way to differentiate the two. So anyway, back to what I was saying. So I was looking for a dietetic assistant job. How many interviews did I have? I had 3 interviews. I had one up in Derby. The houses are freaking cheap in Derby as well, flipping out. That's one reason why I wanted to go there. The hospital itself was like really clean and it was really nice, and there were not too many people because I don't like places with too many human beings. I also had another interview in South London. That was my first interview. That interview, I was hot. Like I'm a very hot-blooded individual. I was like sweating, and I had to ask them, can you please open the window? Can we turn on that fan? Like I need to cool down. So I found out that I didn't get that position. I was on the train back and she was like, I'm sorry, like somebody had experience of auditing and you didn't. That's the only thing. Otherwise you guys, it was basically head to head. I was like, okay. So then I got the Derby one, and I had another one in Northwest London. They were like, I had one on Tuesday and then I had one like the day after. And when I came out of the one in Derby, my dad drove me up there. My dad asked me like, how did it go? And to be honest, I felt I didn't put my all in it. I knew I didn't put my all in it, and that's because I was basically putting all my eggs in one basket I was like, I'm gonna get that interview tomorrow, because at that hospital in Northwest London, I'm familiar with it, so I was really excited when I saw that there was a position there. And I feel that excitement was, they could tell I was very excited in the interview. I wasn't really that nervous. I would have been absolutely gutted if I didn't get the job. So as you can tell, I did get the job. I was like literally screaming. I was really happy. So so I started that in November, and I moved. So I left home in November, end of November, and I'm still here. When I moved in, I showed on Snapchat, I showed the little flat or whatever, and some people were like congratulating me, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, thank you, but like I can't afford like to live alone in London. You know how freaking expensive that is? Hell no. I'm living with two other girls. Are sharing one room there, and there's the landlady that lives next door to me. As I don't have an ensuite anymore, and I'm used to an ensuite because I spent 3 years of uni with an ensuite, my own stinking bathroom. But now I have to share it, and I have to wake up at like 6:30 in the morning, and sometimes they don't have the same hygiene level as far as keeping the bathroom clean. So that's like another situation or something that will happen when you're living with other people. Before I actually got the job as a dietetic assistant, I was in the process of applying for a postgraduate degree in dietetics. That's another reason why I got a job as a dietetic assistant, because it will, I felt like it would help me during the interview, because I attended a career day held by London Met University and KCL, King's College. So they work in partnership when it comes to dietetics. They held like a career day, and there were different dietitians that came in and spoke about the different specialisms and things like that. And it was really interesting. I distinctly remember a band 5 dietitian, so that's like an entry level dietitian, coming in, and she was just speaking about what kind of things can help you to get onto the course, because it's a very, very, very competitive course to get onto, especially post-grad. it's very hard to get onto, and that's what I was, you know, bearing in mind. She was just like, she opened up a food bank in her community, she worked as a dietetic assistant, and she did volunteering. So I also did that like from May. So after I finished my exams, I did volunteering for 3 months at the food chain in King's Cross. So, you know, volunteering, check. Dietetic assistant, check. I applied for, how many universities did I apply for? Just the two London ones. I didn't really fancy going anywhere else, although I did apply for Leeds and they rejected me, but that was cool, whatever. King's rejected me, no problem, whatever. Well, I had my personal statement checked by one of my managers, and, you know, she said it was all good, all systems go, send it off. And she connected me with a student on a dietetics course, which was very useful. Like, we had long ass chats on the phone, and he was just giving me lots of hints and tips. I think it was February time, I got a notification for an interview, and I was like, thank God. I was so happy. I just thought, right, now it's all systems go. Like, I really need to get cracking with this stuff. So I actually compiled a list of things to do for the interview. I had to compile possible questions and answers. You know what? Yeah, people on these dietetics forums are very stingy when it comes to interview questions and what kind of things they will ask you, because it's kind of hush hush, you're not supposed to say, because it's that competitive. Day in the life interviews. So I grabbed about 5 different dietitians within the department, and, you know, I just asked them what kind of things they do in the morning, their afternoon routine, what kind of things they find difficult about being a dietitian, how they keep up to date with current dietetic news and things like that. So those kind of questions is what I asked them, and I recorded it and I wrote it down, just so that within the interview, you know, I can roll off these things so that it proves that I know what a dietitian does, because that's what they're really looking for, that you actually understand the role of a dietitian. So fast forward to the actual day in March, boy, I was so scared, like beyond scared. So I got there and I couldn't eat, obviously. I was just too nervous. I got there and I sat down, you know, I was trying my best to mingle with people, but like they'd already formed their little cliques, but I cut in somehow to this group, and, you know, we were just chatting and stuff. And then, you know, some guy, he called us and he was like, right, ready, let's go. And then I was like, okay, cool. And then when I started walking, I looked around the corner and I saw a crowd of people. I thought it was just the 10 of us that were here. No, there were about, how many of them? Nearly 40 people. And I was like, ooh, crap. And I knew there were 3 different interview dates. So all in all, there are about 100 people being interviewed. So yeah, we got in, and then they had like a little presentation, and then I had, you know, my written test. And but we were all like rotating, so while I was having my written test, some people were having interviews and things like that. But there were like 3 or 4 other girls that I was just chatting with, you know, some other people, went around, spoke to just other people, really. Yeah. And then one girl that was in the group, like, okay, when we're having the presentation, some silly girl, she put up her hand and she asked a question. She was just like, okay, so basically, you know, I want to, you know, do the course, but then I want to practice in my home country in Greece. And, you know, in my head, I was thinking, you idiot. So, and literally everyone was like holding their breath when she said that, like, you idiot, because you're supposed to, you have to want to work within the NHS within England. That's what they're looking for. And yeah, it was just really funny. I was just like, lol, you're out. You might as well just go. Like, fast forward to like my group, and one of them had her interview, and then I kind of like, I kind of like pulled her aside, and I was just like, so what kind of things did they ask you? And at first she was a bit like not sure whether to tell me, but then I loosened her up, you know, and she basically told me all the questions. And I said, okay, so what kind of thing what do you think was the hardest question for you? And I think she said something like, what kind of thing would you find as a challenge on the course? And I was peeing myself when she told me that question, because I was like, no matter what I say, I'm going to look weak. In my head, I'm thinking, why did you tell me the questions? And some people may think it's quite sneaky. I was really teasing the questions out of her. But there's like 100 people being interviewed, and there's only like 10 or 11 spaces on this course. Like, so I felt I did what I needed to do anyway. I went into my interview. I was, you know, I don't know. I was very excited, but I was very excited as well. So I was really smiley, and, you know, I was answering the questions and I was making them laugh. And I remember one question, it was like something like about a dinner party. I think that comes up every year. He said, what would you make? I said like butternut squash soup or something. Then he was like, oh, what's your secret ingredient? And I was like, butternut squash. I left, but even though I was smiling and, you know, my parents asked me, you know, how did it go? And when everyone was asking me how did it go, because like the whole department knew that I had an interview. That's what I did not like. I didn't want everyone to know that I had an interview. I remember feeling so crap. I felt horrible when I finished the interview. I felt like crying. I ordered Chinese. I was just depressed. Well, not clinically depressed, but you know what I mean, I was just really down. So I just tried not to think about it, and I was just really on edge. On April the 12th, that night, I had a dream that my name was on a list and it said unconditional offer list. My name was on there. And then I woke up, and I'm telling you, I've not prayed so hard in my entire life. On that morning, I got an email that I had an unconditional offer. I was so in shock because I felt so crap after that interview. So I feel like my wig shifted, but I don't even care. And then for me to actually get a place onto this course, like I was just so grateful to God. I was grateful for everybody that helped me, that supported me as well, that gave me hints and tips and things like that, you know. So I am counting down. I cannot wait to go back to uni. I'm so freaking excited. I cannot wait to start back at uni, and I'm gonna be in London as well, so I'm really happy about that because I kind of like London. So when I was speaking to people that were on the course already, like all I heard was like it's going to be very intense. It's a very intense course because they literally squeezing everything. It's meant to be a certain number of years, but they've condensed it. It's a shorter course. All they said was like you ain't gonna have a social life, and it's tough. I can deal with not having a social life, that's fine or whatever. But, you know, the pressure, like, I'm really scared. And that's what I said when they said, what's the, you know, the thing that you're going to be most nervous about during the course? And I said, you know, well, I've been made aware by current student dietitians that, you know, it's a tough course, but, you know, I will handle it this way. That's how I answered the question. I was just glad I did not come to London for no reason. I already had a plan B in case I didn't. I always have a plan B in case you know, I didn't make it onto the course. I was just going to apply the next year. And also this year, another reason why I cried as well was this year was the final year for NHS fundings, you know, basically so I don't have to pay tuition fees. So from next year, for people that enter in 2017, they would have to pay. I've booked my room and everything. I booked my uni room already, paid the deposit. I just need to like move in, but I'm gonna be living with like 10 other people, and some of them may be like undergraduates, and I'm not really looking forward to that because I know they're crazy as hell. I did say I want all girls, please. I don't want to be living with no pigs like last year. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.